Also in London is Michael Stevens. He's a research fellow at Bright Blue. It's a centre-right Conservative Party affiliated think tank. Michael was also a Conservative Party candidate in local elections a couple of months ago. Michael, thanks so much indeed for staying up late to talk to us. Is Boris Johnson a good Prime Minister?
No, I don't think he is. And I think that finally my colleagues in the Conservative Party are waking up to what some of us had seen a few months ago, that this was becoming intolerable, that there were too many mistakes, there was a lack of integrity, a lack of honesty about the way in which he was going about his business. And it was time for a change. And I'm sad to say that it's come to this point now, but we're in a very, very serious situation and it's becoming embarrassing.
You say a couple of months ago. Shouldn't this have been foreseen years ago? People have been saying for a long time, for decades, Michael, that Boris Johnson is an inveterate liar, that he can't help himself but lie.
Well, I come from the wing of the party that didn't vote for him in the leadership election in 2019. And so, yes, I would agree with you that there were many of us who had warned about this for some time, that this would come to this moment. I didn't think it would get this bad. I didn't think that it would be this painful to see. But we have got to the situation that we've got to, and we have to adjust, and we have to make sure that whatever happens next, a leader that you can unite the party is chosen, and that we don't have a situation which we had after Margaret Thatcher, where the party split really for years and never recovered.
How long do you think he's going to survive? He says he won't resign, that the summer recess is coming up, and that he wants to remain because he needs to address the important issues.
He's not going to get to the summer recess. The 1922 committee is having elections on Monday. I presume that some of my colleagues there will be running on a platform of changing the rules so that they can have a second vote. And there's no way that he will win that second vote. So realistically, the longest we're talking is probably Monday or Tuesday at this point.
Right, the 1922 committee, just to explain for the benefit of international viewers, it's a committee of backbench Conservative MPs, and they could change the party's own rules, which would allow for another no-confidence vote before the 12 months following the previous one, which 41% of his own MPs in the previous no-confidence vote voted against Boris Johnson. What about the fallout in terms of the wider implications for the country as a whole, Michael? In other words, is the main opposition Labour Party now looking like the favourite to win the next election? So Boris Johnson's actions may have cost the Conservative Party any Prime Minister in number 10.
It's possible. And certainly if you look at the polls for the last 6 months, the Labour Party have been the leading party. Now, the numbers show that they wouldn't get an overall majority in government. They might have to go into coalition with perhaps the Liberal Democrats, maybe even the Scottish National Party, which would be quite an interesting move given their independence views. But I think at the moment, the way that the party is thinking is that we keep losing. We lose by-elections. We lost council elections, and I can tell you as somebody that stood in a council election, I lost that seat because people didn't like Boris Johnson, and they saw me as a representative of Boris Johnson, and they wanted to punish me. So there were many of us, but particularly my colleagues in Parliament, who think that the only way to win the next election is to get rid of Boris Johnson, and that will give us the chance for a leader who is maybe a bit more popular and a bit more liked across the country.
What do you make of the credibility of the possibility that Boris Johnson may call an early general election? Wouldn't he just be blackmailing his own MPs and saying, look at the opinion polls, if I call an election, you might lose your seat?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of issues with that. One, I'm not sure that the party would be with him. So there'd be many activists, I think, who'd find it very difficult to go and campaign for Boris Johnson if there was a general election. And two, the Queen could delay it by not being present for that meeting. So he does have to, in order to dissolve Parliament, meet the Queen. If the Queen can delay that by 24 hours or so, then realistically that doesn't give him the opportunity to do that. So I think that, to be perfectly honest, that nobody in the Conservative Party wants to go to another election right now. I think this needs to come to an end. It needs to come to an end right now. And we need to get on and try to find a way to have a government that can see out the next 18 months or so and actually do what we promised we would and stop stop these scandals, stop this embarrassing way of going about business, because it's damaging the brand possibly for a decade to come.
Michael, as I said, really appreciate your time. And just to give the viewers the very latest, now the Attorney General, Suella Braverman, has also called on Boris Johnson to resign as Prime Minister. Michael, take care.